Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And this video is going to be a little bit different, I warn you now. So BlackRock's Fink appointed as interim co-chairman of the World Economic Forum. If that surprises you, you haven't been paying attention. Larry Fink has always had strong ties to the World Economic Forum because, in my opinion, BlackRock is an elite company, like an elite shell company that was set up years ago. But look who else has ties to the World Economic Forum. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, has been an active participant in World Economic Forum events, contributing to discussions on the future of digital finance. His involvement signifies a bridge between traditional financial systems and emerging digital economies, reflecting a shared vision. But Brad also sits at the board of directors. But look who else Brad has ties to. He has ties to Ancestry.com. Blackstone acquired Ancestry.com for $4.7 billion, giving the investment firm total ownership of all DNA from every person who's ever used the service. Now that's Blackstone, right? Blackstone financed the founding of BlackRock. Even BlackRock's name is a homage to Blackstone. BlackRock is the largest shareholder in Blackstone. Probably a coincidence, isn't it? Now, what are they trying to bring to the XRP ledger? DNA. And this has a lot of people now talking about this. The prophecy is unfolding. Revelation 13 and the XRP ledger. 2,000 years ago, the book of Revelation warned of a system where no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark. Today, that prophecy isn't an allegory. It's becoming financial architecture. The rails are blockchain. The weapon is identity. The battlefield is the XRP ledger. Now, Pompeius has a very good ending to this, and I'll share all of it with you. Revelation 13:16-17 described a universal identification for commerce system. Rich or poor, slave or free, no escape. Fast forward, digital ID, CbdCs, and biometric tracking. The prophecy has evolved into tech, fingerprints, retinal scans, and now genomics. Why the XRP ledger? Because it's the only blockchain with the institutional grade speed, scalability, and neutrality to host such a global system. Ripple built corridors worldwide where the rest of crypto was distracted with meme coins. Enter DNA on chain. DNA Protocol is onboarding medical labs and coding genomic identity onto XRP ledger and issuing XDNA that link your biological source code to the ledger. The prophecy said forehead or hand. Today, it's your DNA. Look deeper. BlackRock's ETF ticker, XDNA, was no accident. The elites are marking their blueprint, a corporate ETF in TradFi, mirrored by a genomic anchoring protocol on the XRP ledger. The mark is not a stamp, it's your biological identity anchored to the rails that they control. The prophecy warns no one can buy or sell. Translate: without genomic linked ID, you'll be excluded from the tokenized financial system. Imagine being unable to transact because your DNA protocol isn't anchored on chain. The rails are XRP. The passport is XDNA. But here's the duality. What looks like enslavement can also be liberation. XRP ledger is neutral. If controlled by elites, it's the mark. If reclaimed by the people, It's the sword that cuts the beast's grip, turning surveillance into transparency and accountability. The book of Revelation wasn't a warning of inevitability. It was intel from the future. We are watching prophecy, finance, and genomics merge. The mark is being coded right now. Question is, will you be enslaved by it, or will you front run it? I like the idea that there's two outcomes to this. You know, a lot of people always said it's going to happen because it was in the Bible. And I would agree with that. But can we change the future? I also believe that the chip in the hand, I think they did away with that. I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore. I think that's why they're shifting towards DNA now. And this has a lot to do with digital ID, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So DNA protocol, this is on the XRP ledger, and this is what it breaks down right here. But I think this is more tied to this, digital ID. They will manipulate the sales pitch to the public for your own good or for your safety or for your convenience. But actually, it's for their control, surveillance, and greed. What are they trying to tie to your digital ID? Your work history, your health history, travel, telecommunications. They're going to keep track of everything you do online as well. And digital ID is something that BlackRock has been pushing for a long period of time. But Brad Garlinghouse has talked about digital ID multiple times in the past as well. And here's Brad talking about identity.
Who owns your identity?
Yeah, it's not me, unfortunately.
It's not you. What's interesting, though, the government owns your identity.
Yep.
If you don't have a passport or a birth certificate or a driver's license, whatever, I don't know each country's dynamic, but like, if you don't have those things, you are not who you say you are.
No.
The government owns your identity. Now, we may not like that, but I just view that as, that's just a truism. And you know, one of the things Ripple has tried to do is we're pragmatic. Even though my philosophical view on something may be over here, to build a business and to drive the success of the XRP ecosystem, sometimes you just have to be pragmatic about the world. Even though I love the idea of blockchain-based identity as a utility for blockchains, you have to get who.
So they already know that you're going to need a digital ID, and they're going to blame the rise of AI for everyone to have a digital ID. But what about DNA? Could DNA possibly be the mark of the beast? And would it be tied to the XRP ledger only? I think it's going to be tied not only to the XRP ledger, but these other utility networks as well. They called XRP a scam. Now it's settling pharmacy payments in the U.S. Well, Logistics just launched a live XRP payment program, bringing crypto utility straight into healthcare. Now, when we looked at this, healthcare is on there, tied to digital identity. We already have a lot of healthcare projects building out on the XRP ledger. We have XRP Healthcare, and we also have other health companies building on the XRP ledger as well, like Logistics. There's a few others. I know some of them are older, and I haven't really seen updates come from them over time, but I'm sure they're still building out in the background. But let's get back to a central bank digital currency. Everybody thinks the United States is safe because we're going to go down the road of a stablecoin. But a stablecoin and a Cbdc are the same thing. The only thing different about them is who issues it. If the Fed issues a central bank digital currency, it's just a stablecoin issued by the central bank. If Ripple issues a stablecoin, it's called a stablecoin because it's issued by a private company instead of a Cbdc. But some people don't agree with that. So Whitney Webb actually broke down what a Cbdc is. Take a listen.
The way they tried to get people to onboard to the CBD system was by essentially cutting off the vast majority of the cash in circulation in Nigeria. And so despite the fact that they created these conditions to coerce people into using the CBDC, the populace resists. And that suggests that the idea of CBDCs being a tool for financial inclusion, the public doesn't seem to believe that, right? In Nigeria, these people that ostensibly suffer from this identity gap, that suffer from financial exclusion, don't want the financial inclusion that they're being offered by the CBDC. They don't see any real benefit. They see it as a tool of the state. In the state in Nigeria and in other African countries where these sort of systems are being rolled out, the governments have abused these systems to go after journalists or other people and violate human rights and all sorts of things. So it's not a tool for increased human rights. It's not a tool for increased inclusion. It's inherently exclusionary, and it's a surveillance tool. So if Nigeria's tactic of, drastically reducing the amount of cash in circulation didn't work, then I think it's quite clear that the way to force onboarding of the CBDC is going to be some sort of crisis, some sort of event where people will be made an offer they can't refuse, essentially.
I think what it's going to take is have an incentive. In other words, if you have cash and you go over to the central bank digital currency, maybe you get 10 cents on every dollar that you're bringing over to the digital system or converting into central bank digital currency. But Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, seems to function like a CBDC, as it's essentially a tokenized form of the US dollar, a liability of the Federal Reserve. As a digital version of the dollar on the XRP ledger, RLUSD could be serving the role of a CBDC without you even knowing it. And Mr. Mann said this: a stablecoin provider such as Ripple, who has reserves at a central bank, is considered a synthetic CBDC, SCBDC. RLUSD is automatically a synthetic CBDC. In contrast, a CBDC is directly issued by a central bank and represents a digital form of the country's fiat currency. Now, here's my thoughts on that. And I've talked about this in multiple videos in the past. The ECB and the BIS talked about parallel systems multiple times over the years. And when it comes to a parallel system, I think it's going to start as 3 parallel systems. So you have the cash system, which will still be with us for a period of time. That's your opt-out from a stablecoin or central bank digital currency. Then there's going to be the CBDC system or the stablecoin system, because they're one and the same, in my opinion, because there's no real difference there. Even RLUSD can be clawed back on the XRP ledger. XRP, however, cannot be clawed back at all. Then I think there's going to be the crypto system. People that bought certain cryptocurrencies, utility-driven cryptocurrencies, maybe they can transact outside of the central bank digital currency system, because rich people, they're not going to run on this system. They're not going to have their transactions tracked and traced, things like that. So if you enrich yourself first, you could break away from the CBDC system, in my opinion. So now the big question is this: is DNA protocol the beginning of the beast system? Is putting your DNA on the blockchain actually you signing up for the beast system? I know it sounds totally crazy, but some people are actually saying that the pivot is already taking place. In other words, there's no longer going to be the chip in the hand like we were talking about in previous videos. And I just wanted to do this video to get your thoughts on this as well. So definitely share it in the comments section down below. And if you made millions off crypto like XRP, would you get the mark of the beast to keep it? Me, personally, I'm not getting the mark of the beast. I don't care. Because that's eternity, in my opinion, where money is just temporary. But I wanted to do this video because a lot of people are talking about this once again. And I think it's because now they see Larry Fink being the chair at the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum was always the one pushing the Great Reset. The crazy thing about this is I see Bitcoin maxis now praising this. Oh, look we got Larry Fink in at the World Economic Forum. He's going to make Bitcoin the adopted system for the entire planet. They don't realize it yet, but the World Economic Forum was always a Trojan horse for Bitcoin. They are going to get rid of Bitcoin at some point. They're going to push it into being irrelevant because the digital system is going to leave Bitcoin behind. It's old tech, it's outdated, and it was always just a beta test coin to begin with. We're going to see the rise of utility-driven cryptocurrencies, and I think we're very close to that happening. But definitely share your thoughts in the comments section down below. And I just want to thank you all for watching this video. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.